What's up? This is Marcus Martinez, Master Kettlebell Coach, and this is your last flow workout with me. And we are going to be taking a light kettlebell and we're gonna be going through 5 different mini flows for 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off, and we're gonna go through them a couple times. So the different movements are going to get a little technical. So what I want you to do is obviously make sure to work within your technique, your abilities, and go slow. So instead of trying to combine everything and to make it as fluid as possible at first, maybe you have to break up the movement. So first movement, for example, we're doing alternating rotational clean into a bent press. Maybe you don't quite have the bent press. Maybe you're gonna need to perform a side press or a push press. So just keep that in mind as we go through these. Ideally, you will want to have gone through the movement breakdowns and know how to do these movements to start things off. But we'll start off with a rotational clean. So we're gonna go on the outside of the body and then catch on the other side. So first set, we're gonna start off right now. So rotational clean, immediately into a bent press. And for this, I'm gonna stay low with the elbow. So I'm not gonna come up with it. I'm going to rotational clean, right into a bent press. And I'm just gonna keep going back and forth on this. So I'm going very light here because I wanna make today all about connecting the dots, trying to connect these movements and accentuate the movement patterns with these loads. So instead of trying to drive heavier and heavier and heavier weights as I'm doing this, I don't necessarily want to focus on the weight. I want to focus on the fluidity of the movement. And bell down. All right, next up we got deck squat to kick through. So you need to use a little momentum, but ideally we want to not use our hands. But if you have to, I'll show you. So from right here, we're going to roll back, roll forward. So use that momentum, hands on the ground, kick back into that quadruped, kick through, jump right forward, and then we're gonna roll back. So I'm using my hands, using that momentum as I go through this. So if you can't, just bring one knee down and roll up with momentum. Roll up with your shoulders. Otherwise, let's keep going here. I really did dick squats just because getting that spine through all that flexion, just a fun exercise to incorporate into your day. Next, we got figure 8 to hold with lunge. So through the legs, I'm gonna catch, and I'm gonna lunge on that opposite leg. So start with the right hand, through the feet, catch, opposite leg comes back, touch the knee to the ground, through the legs, catch, back and forth. So as I'm doing this, I don't wanna curl that arm up. I wanna use momentum and use that hip drive as I would with a one-arm swing. Back and forth. So getting some pulling, we're getting some lunging, we're getting some rotational work. And even with a light bell, it's gonna get your heart rate up. Make sure you're maintaining perfect form, keeping that core nice and tight. And last one. And bell down. Next, we're gonna do a wide circular or rotating hand walkout. So going into a wide position, I'm gonna walk it out one side, come back around, and then repeat. So notice I'm in that side lunge position. I'm gonna walk it out, walk it back into that side lunge, walk it out, walk it back. So right now I'm not crossing my arms over, but you can to make it a little bit easier on the shoulders, but tougher on the body. You can make sure don't cross them over. So we're just moving back and forth as we go through this. You can make this harder by going even further out in front of you as you walk it out. So you can make it easier by not walking so far out. So we're getting a little bit of hip mobility, definitely getting some shoulder strength, core strength as we go through this. Whew. Oh, these are getting fun. All right, last one we're gonna go into alternating walking swing. So I'm gonna take a step forward, step back, and we're gonna work on that timing. So the first set we're gonna do, I want you just to perform a couple alternating swings. On the next one, as that bell's coming up, take a step and make sure to plant as that bell comes down. So I don't want you taking a step as the bell is coming down. You're only moving on the weightlessness of the bell. So to keep it nice and simple, we're just gonna go forward and back. Mechanics of the swing still staying the same. If you feel technically sound, you can start adding a little bit extra movement and start making it a kind of swing flow. And this just starts to add a whole another dynamic from an awareness standpoint, coordination standpoint, a stamina standpoint. And time. Getting tricky. All right, take a little break. So that was one time through. We're gonna go one more time. So you can make this even more dynamic by going very fluid. So on this next one, I'll kind of string the exercises together a little bit faster. So when I'm going to a rotational clean, add that bend press and move a little bit more fluidly through this. So that way you work at your level, you work at your abilities. So start in the rack position and go. So trying to turn it almost into one fluid movement. So for whatever reason, you don't have these ranges of motion, work with what you got. Go into a press. Go into a push press if that bell is too heavy. Go into a two-hand rotational clean if that bell is too awkward for you. So now we're just trying to create as fluid as transitions as possible. And what I like about this is you're gonna feel so mentally alert after doing this. And you're also gonna be very mindful of any sticking points. So if something feels a little tighter than normal, you'll know what you need to work on or spend a little bit more TLC on. All right, going into those deck squats. Make sure everything's taken care of. All right, so I'm gonna move fairly quickly through this as I go right back. Use your hands if you have to. Use momentum with that deck squat so that you're not getting stuck. But guess what? If you get stuck, just do it again. Tuck your feet a little bit more. Another way you can do this, if you want to just work on the deck squat, is using a small bench or something that will increase or decrease the range of motion you'll need through your ankles and through your knees to be able to get into that full flex position. You might not have that, but that's okay. And if that deck squat was too hard, just do the kick throughs. If I had a nickel for every time I said, make it work for you. But, make it work for you. All right, figure eight lunge. Starting from the ground, through the legs, right into that lunge. Move fairly quickly on this, but because that bell's coming through the legs, make sure you have this exercise completely down before speeding it up. And even though the focus is on that transition underneath into that lunge, make sure that you're still keeping your core engaged. You are standing up tall, just as you would with the swings as we go through these different positions. Make sure you're not just curling that bell. Drive that hips as they come forward. Bring it down. Like I said, even with a light bell, you are gonna get your heart rate up with this 3-to-1 work ratio. All right, get that nice wide stance. We're gonna go into those hand walkouts. Rotating, so now we'll move a little bit faster. If your wrists aren't enjoying this, then don't go so far, or just go into a plank position and change your foot position as you go. Trying to be fluid. You can make this even more lower body centric by getting to the bottom of a Cossack squat as you rotate around. But I always enjoyed using hand walkouts to prime the shoulders, prepare the upper body, but starting to add that lateral aspect to it just makes it, again, a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more challenging. Whew. Last one, walking swings. So scale back if you have to. Let's ramp it up if you can. We're going to a swing flow. So ready, set, go. So I'm gonna change directions. I might go into staggered swings, might go into rotational swings, might go outside the leg swings, but as long as I'm getting alternating swings, then that's all that matters. Like I said, mechanics stay the same regardless of what position your foot's in, what position that bell's in, whether it's outside the leg, across the body, inside staggered, inside bilateral. We want to make sure that form looks perfect. 10 seconds, doing a cross, cross. Again, work within your abilities. And time. Bell finds its way safely to the ground. Fantastic work. Practice these. I love incorporating some level of kettlebell flow because it's so liberating. It's so fun. Get so creative and get your heart rate up at the same time. So fantastic way to work on your work capacity. All right, great job thus far. You are almost done with this program. Finish it off strong with Aaron tomorrow. And let's see that's transformation. So see you on the next one.